Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Five Things I Wish I Knew When I Weighed 300 Pounds, a 5-day webinar series. So, I am Eve Parker of Inspirational Eve.
And I'm Naomi Teeter of Inspire Transformation.
And we are excited to bring these 5 days to you to help you lose the weight once and for all. But before we get into it and tell you exactly what this is all going to be about, why on earth should you be listening to myself as well as Naomi on how to lose weight? So, Naomi, tell them, why should we listen to you on how to lose weight?
Well, I think the number one reason you should be listening to us is because Eve and I both have incredible backstories of our own weight loss journeys, of losing 150 pounds or so, somewhere in there, and maintaining it for a very long time. We're going to be discussing things that we wish we both had known when we weighed around 300 pounds. So, we're going to tell you a little bit about our backstories right now, just so that you know where we're coming from. I grew up overweight. I can remember back to being in second grade being called Miss Piggy by the neighbor boy. I remember being about 145 pounds in the fourth grade. My entire family was overweight or obese or morbidly obese. Looking back, I can only remember maybe 2 or 3 distant cousins from both sides of my family that were average sized. So this was something that was very much accepted in my family. This is just how you are. You are big boned. Along the way, I realized there's no such thing as being big boned. that was something that, I thought was a truth for me. And so going through growing up fat, getting picked on a lot, really lowered my self-esteem, my self-worth, what I thought I was capable of. Eventually, I got a boyfriend after many, many years of thinking that I would die alone. Basically, I would die a virgin because I was so fat. And being big, I latched on to anybody that showed me attention. So this first boyfriend, he became my first husband at the age of 20, and we had nothing in common, practically nothing. Completely different personalities, didn't like the same things. Our marriage quickly fell apart because I was kind of reenacting the same behaviors that my parents taught me growing up. Lots of controlling behaviors, a lot of abusive, a lot of addiction behaviors. And that carried throughout the rest of my life. I dropped out of high school at a young age. I was working manual labor, retail jobs because I dropped out of school and because I didn't feel like I could do anything else because of my size. And I really felt like I was going nowhere for many, many, many years. And I know that everybody has, well, most people have this rock bottom moment. And I really didn't have a rock bottom moment that shifted, that made me feel like I have to lose this weight right now. But I'll tell you that when I was about the age of 24, I was sitting on my couch watching television in my crummy little house in the middle of the ghetto. I was watching Oprah. And I absolutely love Oprah. Even to this day, she's kind of this mentor for me. And she had The Secret on. She had the cast of The Secret. I'm not going to start talking to you about spiritual things or the law of attraction. What really excited me about this was that she had on the cast. And the cast, every single one of them has adversities, things that they've had to come through in their life. And it's giving me goosebumps right now talking about it, and I hope I don't start crying, but I related to these people so much because I grew up dirt poor. I grew up in a family that was verbally and physically abusive. Everybody was overweight. Everybody was super, super fat. My little brother was up to 840 pounds, believe it or not. So this was very prevalent. I felt like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. So seeing these people have similar stories and then coming through it and being on Oprah, I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. And it's not something that's reserved for privileged people. This is something anybody can do. So with that knowledge in hand, I started really on my weight loss journey. That was the moment it really started. I realized it was possible, and I started taking some small actions. Little by little, I had saved up enough money to move across the country to kind of get away from the environment that I was living in. Jim Rohn is very popular for telling everybody that we are the average of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. And for me, that was very much the case. My family, not the most supportive people. And the environment that I was living in, the area, not the best for a healthy lifestyle. So I moved myself across the country, started my life over again. And I realized not everybody can do this, but this is my story. And I started it all over again. And then a year later, after I got settled in, found a job because I didn't have a job lined up. I barely had a place to live lined up, didn't know anybody there. So it took about a year of getting back on my feet again, starting over. Then I really genuinely started my weight loss journey. And like many people, I jumped in, I would say probably with both feet. It was kind of gradual, but it was also jumping in with both feet. Kind of once I got the grasp of how things go, I went into it kind of like Biggest Loser style. And I don't recommend that. I ended up losing about 150 pounds in 11 months. No joke. Because I was focused just on the fitness and just on the food. And I let everything else fall by the wayside. I had a job that was very stress-free. It was retail, so it wasn't too horribly bad. The relationship that I was in, I thought was fine. I thought was great. And then after losing all of the weight, or working on losing all the weight, I lost my boyfriend. He, out of the blue, said, "I'm done with you, Naomi. Goodbye." And I was like, what's going on? I'm losing weight. I'm looking better. If anything, you should be more attracted to me. You should want to be in this relationship. But that wasn't the case. I wasn't treating him well. I was only focused on me and the exercise and the eating, that my relationship fell apart. So there was stress. So everything that I wasn't handling while I was losing that weight was coming up now. So I didn't do any sort of the emotional or mental work. It was just the physical. And long story short, I started binge eating. I started having very, very, very extreme cravings for sugar in particular. It really felt like I had a mental illness when it came to food and addiction, really. So you can, I guess, the gist of that is that you can lose a whole heck of a lot of weight and do it real quick, but it doesn't solve the problems. It doesn't get to why you put on the weight in the first place. And that comes with doing a little bit more digging around and finding out why that's going on. I tried to solve this problem. I tried to solve my binge eating and my sugar problem by trying out other diets. Like the paleo diet, for instance. And I thought that that did really well for a while until I developed orthorexia, which is, if you're not familiar with what that is, it's actually an obsession with healthy eating. Very rigid, once again. So going from that dieting and exercising and focusing just on that to focusing on being super healthy with my food, both of them are very, very rigid. And that created a lot of bad feelings about myself when I would eat poorly. If I would have one of those moments where I would have pizza or I'd have a piece of cake or ice cream, oh no, that's not paleo approved, or that's not super, super, super healthy for you. You shouldn't be doing that. You're a bad person. So that's kind of what my journey has been over the last 7 years of losing the weight, maintaining it. It wasn't up until the last, I would say, 3 years that I have really gotten to the root of why I was having those problems and getting to where I'm at now as a health coach, as a certified nutritionist, helping other women come through all of these things. So I believe firmly you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. And if you are still struggling with one of those things, you really can't help another person. You have to do this for yourself first. So Eve, that is why people should be watching this with me. I want to know why people should be watching this with you.
Why should they be listening? And let's give her a round of applause for her vulnerability because that
Thank
was
you.
beautiful. Why Naomi and I have such similar stories in some regards that I started this journey also at 24 years old at 340 pounds. And like Naomi, I was an obese child. I like to say that my first four-letter word was diet because I remember being in kindergarten and I would have to have special lunches, and I hated that. I feared food from such a young age because I weigh 190 pounds now, and I haven't weighed this since I was in about third or fourth grade. So I too was always the largest child in the class. And I just felt so alone, and I felt like I didn't fit in this world, both physically as well as emotionally. That I was fortunate that I was that kid that like I had the big personality and I was super funny and I had friends, but I didn't like myself. I did everything I humanly possibly could to make sure everybody liked me and that I could quickly be liked, but I didn't truly like who I was, and I didn't even realize that until much later, like Naomi, where when I finally started doing the work on myself, I was like, oh wow, I created a new version of myself by losing weight, and I have treated the effect, but I haven't got to the cause. And yeah, it was many self-sabotaging behaviors growing up. I became bulimic. I was a cutter. I got into drugs because food wasn't enough to make me feel full. Realistically, I was just trying to fill myself up because I always felt so empty. And it wasn't until I was 24 years old, I stepped on a scale and I realized I was 340 pounds, and I was astonished. I too was in a relationship that was unsupportive because I just wanted to be loved. I wanted someone to like me. And if that meant that I had to sacrifice my own true happiness, I would do it as long as I had someone that told me they loved me. And he was obsessed with obese women, and so there's kind of a paradox where this man is in love with me because I'm obese, but I want to lose weight to be healthy. But I would be giving up the one thing I want more than anything is to be loved. And it wasn't really until I was taking care of my mom and my dad when I realized I was looking in a genetic mirror that if I didn't change, that this was my future. That I, at the age of 50 and 60, would have congestive heart failure and dementia and be going into surgery after surgery because my body is eating itself alive. Because so much of what was going on with my parents, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, degenerative diseases, it's kind of a controversial topic, but it can be preventable through lifestyle and diets. And that didn't come to me naturally. I had to get to that point. But I was bulimic and I was a cutter, and I was one of those extreme cases where I had to hit rock bottom. And there was a day when I was in the bathroom and I was purging because that's what I did. I would spend $17 at Taco Bell and then I'd have to throw it all up. And I didn't want to keep going. I really didn't feel like I had an option. I felt stuck. I was in a relationship I hated. My parents were showing me what my future looked like. I lived in a body that I detest. I couldn't even really walk my driveway. I couldn't. I had to buy two seats on an airplane. I would break chairs if I sat in them too quickly. It felt like a worthless existence. And I felt like nobody could understand. And I got this weird, just like feeling of like, well, what if this time could be different? Because like Naomi, I tried so many things. I've tried diets. I've tried exercise programs. I've tried the liquid diets, the starvation diets, the Atkins, the grapefruit. None of it works. I'd lose 60 pounds and I'd gain 80 back. And it was in that moment where it was just, I entertained the idea of what if this time could be different. And I sat with that and was like, but what would that look like? Like if I was going to do it completely different, what would it look like? And I started walking my driveway. I got rid of everything in the house that was unhealthy, and I'd done that before. I didn't think it was actually going to work. But I got rid of all my unhealthy foods and my trigger foods, but I started walking my driveway. And I had a really long driveway at the time, and I couldn't make it to the top at the time, but that became my life's ambition. Like, if I can get to the end of that driveway, then what else could be possible? So let's just see. And in those moments, I then started to go inward and start thinking about, like, well, why am I choosing unhealthy foods? Like, why am I not exercising? Why am I hating myself? Like, is this even what I believe about myself? So my journey, it definitely went inward. And in about 11 months as well, I'd released 100 pounds. And then it wasn't until I started working for Tony Robbins, I'd lost about 120 pounds when I started working for him, that I realized I hadn't lost the weight emotionally, that I still weighed 340 pounds in my mind. And I think that's why so many people lose the weight and they gain it right back, because they don't release the cause, the root of what put the weight on. And through just mentoring, I started to let go of my past traumas and the reasons that I believed I deserved these self-sabotaging behaviors and this self-sabotaging lifestyle that I created around me as a protector. And then I too became a life coach, a health coach, and I now help people through their struggles. And just like with Naomi, it's interesting that, you see people as a success story and they've lost the weight, but I still struggled. Even when I was working at Tony Robbins, I still struggled with bulimia during that time and overeating, because I didn't go truly to the core. And so that's what's so exciting. Why we're so excited to be bringing these, 5 things I wish I would have known when I weighed 300 pounds, because had we known these things, had we had this level of reassurance, probably wouldn't have taken so long. We may have lost the weight very quickly, but our journey, why it's been so long, is because there was resistance to the actual work. And so her and I have worked extensively on this for you all, so that you can implement these changes in your life, and then it can happen quickly for you if you want this. And then it can be fun. It can be very fun, which is why, and I know Naomi and I are excited about this, we have created, so should we tell them what they get by joining?
Yeah, I think that's what they want to know. Yeah.
Okay, you're like, okay, we know, okay, you ladies relate with us. So by signing up for this challenge, for this webinar series, you get to be a part of our exclusive Facebook group. This is going to be a 5-day challenge. So this is a 5-day webinar series, a 5-day challenge of pushing you maybe a little bit out of your comfort zone, but ultimately just a smidge. It's inevitable, boys and girls, but it can be fun. It can be exciting, and it's absolutely doable. So you're going to be a part of this Facebook group, and it's excellent because there's going to be a lot of you in it. There's going to be a lot of people with different backgrounds. You get to share. You get to sit and observe. You don't have to share, but we always strongly suggest people, that's part of the process, that's part of stepping out of your comfort zone, share where you're at. So we're going to have this awesome community of support where Naomi and I are going to be posting daily. You're also then going to get your daily. So every day is going to have a theme, and you're going to be sent a daily choose your own adventure discovery sheet, which is going to have action items. So show up, playful out with these worksheets. These worksheets have been mined by Naomi and myself, who have gone through these challenges like you may be going through right now, and how to extinguish them. How do you meet this adversity and blow it up? So we've created it so it's fun, it's interactive, and it's realistic in your daily life. And so when does this start? When does this start happening? When do we get to do the fun? It's when does it start? So it's going to be May 16th through the 20th. So it's those 5 days. So every single day we're going to be in the Facebook group. We're going to be sending you videos to your inbox, not only with the worksheet, but also with a video talking about what that theme of the day is, and discussing a little bit about your choose your own adventures and what we would when we weighed 300 pounds. On the 6th day, which is going to be Saturday the 21st, we're going to have a live webinar where you all get to be a part of it, and Naomi and myself are going to be there to discuss a little bit more in depth about what we talked about the first 5 days, and also to answer questions. So you get to be live on the call with us. We'll both be offering tips, tools, and answering any inquiries you may have. And that's going to be 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which will then be 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there's a lot of content that's involved in this. It's a lot of fun. Naomi and I are so passionate about this. We both, I think you could probably attest to this, hon, we both wish we would have had something like this at the start of our journey. Would have made things a lot easier.
For sure.
So that's, is there anything else you want to add that we're going to be giving them? Is this any other adventures they should know about?
I think as far as like getting your mind right for this is be open-minded to everything that both of us suggest along the way, because I don't know about you, but for me, anytime that I go into something thinking that I know it all or I've heard this all before, I learn absolutely nothing. I do absolutely nothing to implement it. So you have to be open-minded. Think of it as an adventure. Think of what can I learn from all of this? What can I learn from Eve? What can I learn from Naomi? How can I implement that in my life? Even I don't have children, for instance. Maybe you have children. Take what we are giving you and work around your environment and your situation and make it work for you. So that's what I have to say.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Yes. Come into it playful out, and be open to the possibility that this time could be different. Like that message came to me, and that's what ultimately got me to shift. Like Naomi, she had examples of people who went through it. So let us be those examples and allow yourself to believe that this time can be different because you are going to be different. So we're so excited to bring this. We hope you're excited too. If you have any questions, go ahead and contact us regarding this. Otherwise, go ahead and sign up and let's get going.
Yay! See you soon!
See you soon! See you May 16th!